Here I am. I'm going to go ahead and start by going into the heroes and just talk a little bit about them. This is the setup I have for Turvold. As you can see, I'm running them at a really low speed, 110. I fooled around with that a lot, and that's really the number where he actually attacks in sequence with the um, Ultimate Nightmare tuned team. So you'll see that when we actually run through this. I mean, if you take a look, you can see that I've got, real solid life steal gear on him, with a combination of decent hit points and defense and as good a crit damage and an attack as I could potentially get. So attack, crit damage, hit points, just to try to get him to a decent spot, but also because it has a roll of attack on it. And then because he's my only person who's giving the weaken, I've also got his accuracy bumped up instead of what I could potentially do there. All in all, really solid stats, coupled with great haul and stuff. You can see it's you know pushing 2,000 defense, 4,500 attack, and still at 200 accuracy. The key here is the speed, though, which is what I was talking about. So once I get into this a little bit more, I will try to walk through the rest of the team. I'll just bounce into them real quickly just to show you what they're sitting at and what I've done. So Martyr is 50k in the over 4,500 defense. See, you're running at 193. That's in the speed range and 245 accuracy. Additionally, I'll go to the two Septimuses. I just built these guys. They're basically just debuff extenders. They just are pretty much defense and accuracy stack. So if you were to look in the total stats, you can see they're not amazing. Pushing 3,000 defense. I'd really like to get the crit rate and crit damage up higher, but I've got what I've got. Similarly with the other one, this guy is a little bit more survivability, but his critical rate is crummy. And then lastly, my poisoner and healer Badel. You can see I'm running him really a lot less defense than I would prefer. He's the fastest guy I have too at 196. And you can see his accuracy over that 220 range, which is where I really need to be. I'll go ahead and get in and start an Ultimate Nightmare Clan Boss run now. You can see team sequence set up typical. You've got Martyr for the defense lead, and then weaken debuff, then Battle, and then the debuff extenders, so the counterattack will go. The clan boss speed's 190, so you're going to see every one of these guys except Turvold should go first, and Turvold's the funny one. So as we bounce into this, I'm going to turn it off auto for a little while. Right away, I need to get poisons out. My debuff extenders are going to go. Martyr will get counterattack and defense up. Now you can see at this point I've got Turvold with 4 buffs on it. I'm going to try to keep those buffs on him the whole time. So what I'll do is I'm going to start with Juggernaut, not a self buff. Now I'll run through another round. Since I've got defense and weaken, I can do that. Get attack down up. Now Septimus has broken AI, so unfortunately he's really a guy you almost have to manual. You can see with Turvold now, I'm going to go ahead and start this up. So I have the buff Now when you come around to the stun, my Bad L is going to clean the stun. You see he's starting to stack the buffs up too, which is one of the real nice things with Bad L. Then I'll go ahead and get my next buff, and now I'm sitting with Turvold with 7 buffs, and he should hit pretty darn hard. Let's if I had some stuff that resisted defense, Savage gear or what have you, I'm sure it would do a lot more damage. But now I'm somewhere in the 240 to 250 range on my best hits against Ultimate Nightmare. At this point now, I can honestly just fire and forget with this. None of these guys have any buffs or debuffs that I don't want or anything like that. I really should just be able to turn it loose. I'm going to go ahead and run it a little bit longer manual just to keep talking, and then I'll go ahead and turn it loose. Really the key here to this whole thing is twofold. One is getting the sequence squared, which is with any counterattack team that's really important. And then the second thing is the tap dance I've had to do to make sure Turvold always is attacking with max buffs. This has given me the best possible damage that I can get out of him in this gear setup. As I said, since everybody's running lifesteal, I'm afraid to make them any more squishy than this. I'd probably need a reser if I wanted to do that. And the way this team runs, you'll see by the time it's all said and done that he does the vast majority. He'll do probably not the vast majority. I'll say a third of the damage, and then another third's going to come from the poisons that Bad L does, and then the rest of the heroes will kind of pile up the remaining damage. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this loose. It'll run for a while here. This, of course, I had this tuned out for Ultimate Nightmare. If you're going to go with a 171 to 179 setup, you're going to have to play with Turvold's speed. I know when I did have it tuned at 171, I was able to get Turvold running with the speed you want. Additionally, if the buffs are buffs that don't fall off at the start of the turn, I have to have him attacking in this funny order because Bad L's buffs come off at the start of the turn. So if I have him buff and then do another turn and attack, he'll have lost Bad L's buffs. So I actually have him buff and then take a turn and then get Bad L's buffs and Martyr's buffs and then attack. Another person buffing, you can probably do the order around where he gets the buffs and then self buffs and then attacks, which is what I've seen in videos, what people traditionally did, but they weren't getting the best possible damage out of him because Bad L's buffs fall off most of the time. When you tune these, especially in the with something that you think you'll take the Ultimate Nightmare, definitely get the 220 accuracy. The other thing is, it's really good to have your guys at 3,000 defense or so, if they're attack heroes, and if they're defense-based heroes, you should be able to get them 4,500 or more. I mean, most definitely, that'll be big. With Steel Skull, I don't know. You probably get him in the 3,000 range, I would think. But I might actually build him later and give him a try sometime over the next couple days. I think this buff is going to come out next week, and Unkillable is going to be nerfed. So I'll end up probably trying some things out and and I'll probably have a key that I can do next to nothing on, because if I get 230 million keys, I'll have a 10 million play key, so I might be able to try out a run with Steel Skull baked into this, and maybe 2 defenders. Okay, you can see the first Septimus died. We're getting close to the end here. I'm going to go ahead and just take it on manual. Not that it's going to make much of a difference, but just to kind of walk through it again. Actually, I'm going to take it off manual. I'll let it keep running. It really doesn't make much difference. I'm losing by autoing. I lose a little bit of Septimus damage since he doesn't use his A2, but he's only doing 2.5 million in these runs anyway, so it's not a big deal. So this is the right this is going to be a good one, I think, because the right combination of people stayed alive. So I should be able to milk this at least maybe another turn. Yeah, one more turn. All right, there we go. So there you go. I guess not much different than normal, but 31.5 million. Pretty solid. You can see that a big chunk of the damage is being done by Turvold, and then of course whoever's taking advantage of your buff extender is going to do a ton of damage too. So anyhow, that's kind of a picture of it. Hopefully that gives you a little bit of a idea of what you might do when you tune these out, and really how you can use Turvold a little bit. If you have questions, just hit me up and we can discuss this more in the comments, or actually on our Discord.